Hello and welcome to this Friday edition of Gospel Points. I'm your host, Kevin Thompson, and we're joined once again by Trevin Wax. Trevin, welcome to our podcast again.
Great to be with you, Kevin.
Well, Trevin, we don't have a lot of time for this podcast, but I do want to talk about the Gospel Project. I'm excited about that. And so tell us tell us about this curriculum. How do we use it, and who should be interested in this?
Well, the Gospel Project is a curriculum that has been developed for all ages, beginning with kids, moving into students, and also adults. The main idea of the Gospel Project is to help people understand the big picture of the Bible. What is the Bible all about? We found that there's a lot of people who understand isolated stories in the Bible, but they don't know the story of the Bible. They don't understand how those stories fit together to tell one overarching story. And so the goal of the Gospel Project was to help people see that Jesus is the center of the Scriptures. He is the focus of the Scriptures. Even the Old Testament is pointing us forward to Him. And so the way that we go about helping our groups understand this, the people in our congregations understand this, is with kids, we walk chronologically through the Bible. We start out in Genesis and we move chronologically all the way to Revelation, and over a 3-year period of time are going to hit the main Bible stories. But even when we hit those stories, we're not just showing what are the moral applications for each story, as if these stories exist just to give us some morality tales. We're showing how these stories, what they teach us about God, what they teach us about ourselves, and how these stories point us to Jesus Christ, how they connect to the big story. And so what we've noticed, and since we launched about a year ago, it's just great to hear testimony from kids who are like, they get asked questions and they constantly are pointing back to Jesus. Like, they understand the Bible isn't primarily about them; it's about God, who He is, and what He has done. And it's a heavily evangelistic program. It's seeking to show the gospel in every lesson, so that people understand that that's what kids get again and again as they move through the Bible. Now, for students and adults, the idea is it's also 3 years. It's a 3-year cycle. You can jump in whenever. But instead of just being purely chronological, it's actually topical by theological topic. So we spend a quarter working through the doctrine of God's revelation of Himself, how He speaks, what it means that He speaks, what our response to His Word is. We have had a couple of volumes where we've moved through the biblical storyline. We did an Old Testament survey and a New Testament survey. We've studied the doctrine of God, the attributes of God. This fall, actually, we're going to be looking at the doctrine of humanity, what God created us for, how the fall into sin has affected that, how Jesus Christ has restored that, and then what it looks like for us as God's redeemed people to fulfill His purposes. So student and adult are in two different they're studying the same things every week, but they are doing it on students at their level, adults at a higher level, and we're moving through the Bible, doing a mix of just working through the Bible in a given quarter, or working through some kind of theological topic. So very excited to see what we've got coming ahead. We've got an entire volume on what it means to have a biblical worldview, with the gospel as the center of our lives. We've got a volume coming up in the spring on tracing the theme of atonement through the Scriptures. So beginning in Genesis, where you've got Adam and Eve in the garden needing to be clothed by God. They're hiding in shame, and God clothes them with animal skins, all the way to being clothed in robes that are washed in the blood of the Lamb in Revelation. So anyway, just that's a brief overview. The main point, though, is to show people how all the Bible fits together and how Jesus Christ is at the center.
So where do we learn more information? Where can we sign up?
You can go to gospelproject.com. If you go to gospelproject.com, you will find sample lessons that you can download, that you can take a look at, that give you a feel for where we are as in the Gospel Project in our focus right now. You can go to lifeway.com to purchase. And we're really excited. We launched with almost 500,000 people last year, and it's been exciting to hear testimonies and to see people come to faith, to see people's faith strengthened. It's really been a privilege to be a part of this, and I'm excited that I'm able to work with a team whose passion is to help people understand the gospel and live according to the gospel in our everyday lives.
Well, that concludes our interview with Trevin Wax of the Gospel Project. If you check out our website, www.kevinjthompson.info, we'll have a link to Trevin's blog, which I recommend you check out, and we also will have a link to the Gospel Project website. Now, if you didn't catch the last episode, I encourage you to go back onto our SoundCloud page or our basically SoundCloud page, because we are having a giveaway this week. It ends today. This is Friday. This is recorded on Friday, August 23rd. And we're going to give away Trevin's book, Counterfeit Gospels. All you have to do to enter in the giveaway is listen to that interview we did with Trevin about that book. That's our Wednesday edition of Gospel Points. Just listen to it and write down just anything you found interesting. Whether you agreed with it or disagreed with it, if you found it interesting, type that out in the comments section of our blog. Again, at www.kevinjthompson.info, look for the posting about this past Wednesday's podcast. Put that in the comment section, and you are automatically entered to get a free book, The Counterfeit Gospel by Trevin Wax. If you want to double or triple or quadruple your chances of winning, you can go ahead and tweet about it on Twitter, or you can post about it on Facebook, or you can pin it on Pinterest or Google Plus or any of those other types of things, or mention it on your blog. Just give me the link in that comment section of my blog, and you will automatically be entered again into this giveaway. So the giveaway ends today. Again, this is Friday, August 23rd. The giveaway ends today at midnight. So tomorrow I will check through there, and we will just randomly select a comment. So make sure that you have done that and taken care of that. Well, this is our Friday edition, and I did want to just give you a programming note that we are going to be welcoming Dr. Bill Schweitzer on the program next week, who's going to talk about the book Engaging Keller, talking about author, pastor Tim Keller out there in New York. You'll want to listen in on that podcast. That'll be next week. And then after that, we're actually going to start moving towards a different format. We have been doing this Monday, Wednesday, Friday, about 10 to 15 minute programs. Well, we're going to start going to just a weekend edition, a 30-minute Gospel Points. And so we're going to put that also on a variety of different websites. We'll continue to use SoundCloud. I like the integration with social media that SoundCloud provides. We'll also be back on Blog Talk Radio. If you listen to some of my previous podcasts, you'll know that we've had some success there. And we'll try to just get the word out, put this program on a lot of different social media, internet venues. So be looking for that. It won't be next week. It'll probably be a couple weeks after. We have a lot of great guests lined up and a lot of good books we're going to be talking about. Just in mind, we're going to be talking with Kevin Swanson, who's recently written the book Apostate. He's out there in Colorado. He's got a great podcast himself, the Generations podcast, which I encourage you to listen to. And we'll have some fun. We're actually going to be talking with an atheist friend of mine in the future. We're going to be talking about dialoguing between theists and atheists and how the Christian should approach that and some misconceptions that we might have. So that's all coming up there in the future. Well, we're out of time for this podcast. Thank you for listening. Again, join us next week. We'll be talking about the book Engaging Keller.